Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases. Hello, everyone. Glad to see you tonight. If this is your first time visiting the channel, we wish to welcome you and thank you for being here. While you're in chat and as we progress, always be respectful and mindful of families, the mods, and each other. We'll have a presentation and a video tonight that we'll be watching. And during those presentations, if you have a question regarding anything, throw it in there in chat. Mrs. Steve here will get them organized, and I will answer them at the end of the presentation. And so we'll get started here. We're going to be talking about, of course, the Delphi case. If you have any information regarding this case, make sure law enforcement and the attorneys representing and through the prosecutors that they're aware of all information that you have for the fact that we do wish to have justice regarding this case for Libby and Abby and their families. All righty. So let's get started. We're going in the video we're going to watch. There'll be a slideshow presentation right after it, but we'll watch the video. I'll walk you through it. We did a video very similar, or the exact video that we're going to use tonight. I went back in and took out some of the where I had spliced together, and there was added time in there. This video is very similar to the first video. It's about 10 seconds shorter than the one that we did earlier in the year. And that's only due to that I took out some of the time that the splices are overlaid, and there's some still images there. And so took out that extra time. And this is closer to the actual time of what the walk from the Myers parking lot intersection down to the bridge. And there's some critical times that recently, as I was looking at the trail system, looking at the bridge, and looking for what witness that we refer to as witness number 4, who parked at the Myers parking lot and walked to the bridge and saw the individual on platform 1, and then turned around and halfway back met 2 young ladies that she has identified as Libby and Abby, or believing them to be Libby and Abby, before going back to the parking lot and leaving. And there was a critical time frame in there that occurred to me that I didn't address in the earlier video. You'll see where we're going to go with this here in a few minutes, and how come and why this critical time matters. And it does throw in a huge obstacle for the defense, if that is Richard Allen in platform 1. And so that's what we're going to be addressing. Now, with that being said, if we go by some of the information that's been released, and if one of the sketches was completed by the witness that saw the individual on platform 1, and that sketch is, some people's, and it will be argued that yes, it is Richard Allen. Some people saying no, it's impossible not to be. That'll all depend when we get to court and what that witness says under oath, and we'll see where that goes, and how will the prosecution address the issues about this sketch, and if this is how that sketch was created, and why there is differences, and if that witness is able. But we're mostly talking about that whoever's on platform 1. And I personally believe that through the timeline from the other 3 girl witnesses and Richard Allen meeting them and walking towards the bridge, that it is him on the platform one, regardless. But that's just my opinion. And of course, a lot of people have different opinions, and they base it upon whatever facts that they wish to present. But my understanding is, and you'll see where we're going to be going with the rest of the presentation. So I guess we'll start with the video first. Let me turn off my cam, and then we'll start the video. Of course, this is a video I made back, I think it was in March, late February, early March. I went to the location to get a idea of exact what the foliage looked like during that time period, and similar weather conditions, see what the Deer Creek water clarity was. And of course, this here is the intersection right in front of the parking area where witness 4 parked and would have got onto the trail. And the video starts, or the walking part of this that we timed, starts at 54 seconds into the video. So just right after this close-up of the some of the details and of the trail markings, I'll get on the trail, and then we'll start our walk towards the bridge. And in the earlier videos, of course, a lot was made about what the pace was and how long would it taken anyone to walk that trail, not knowing each individual's rate of walk. And it occurred to me that regardless of rate of walk, that this number 4 witness, she gave a key bit of information. She stated that after going to the bridge, seeing an individual on platform 1, she turned around and met who she identified as believing it was Libby and Abby, about halfway back towards the parking lot. And that is huge and is key for the fact that regardless of what pace she is walking and what pace anyone walks, that even if you could walk from the Mears parking lot to the bridge in 8 minutes, halfway back would be 4 minutes. If you're a speed walker and you can walk it in 6 minutes or in 5 minutes, especially even 5 minutes, that halfway back would be 2.5 minutes. So halfway back is the issue. And so I was able to take this video, time it out, and see what the amount of time it took me to walk from the Mears intersection down to the bridge, and then calculate and come back to the halfway mark of the time that it took me to walk, for the fact that that would be my halfway point, because distances, regardless of the time it takes you to travel, the distances do not change. So it doesn't get shorter, that distance, and that revelation that she says it's halfway back. Now, could she be off 10 feet, 50 feet, or 100 feet? Absolutely. And but law enforcement went with her, I would imagine, and shown the exact spot of where this occurred. But it's at this halfway point back, that's where it's key, because when we look at the time, and that time matters, if we calculate that, oh, it's a 6 minutes walk, that we're talking about an individual that has 6 minutes of time, could be doing anything out there on the bridge. But when you look at it, that no, we have to cut that time in half, for the fact that at the midway point coming back, that it would only be a 2.5, or in this case, you'll see here when I'm with the slide presentations, I'll have the exact markings, and at the 3:30 mark is the halfway back as far as this video is concerned. That we're already down to 3 minutes and 30 seconds that we have to look at. And then we have to take it another step, that even at the 3:30 mark, while you may not be able to see the bridge, but as you walk towards that bridge and through the gentle curve, there is a point well before you get to the bridge, whereas you can see the bridge, you can see platform 1, and you can see the entire length of the bridge. And so now we're taking it that we're not even going to have to work within the parameters of 3 minutes, or the time frame, like I said, when we get in slide presentation, each of them will be marked, because you can see here on the trail, you're starting to be able to see the beginning of the new bridge and the improvements that were made. And so you can see down around the curve. And so you're not even at the 3 minutes, you're at seconds, you're less than a minute. So that when Libby and Abby met witness number 4, that within a minute, they would have been able to see what was on the bridge, who was on the bridge, and anyone coming from the bridge or walking away on the bridge. So that their view of that bridge started in less than a minute. And that timeline in less than a minute is far a more focused, narrow scope of opportunity for any individual to say that, well, I didn't see the girls. We're only talking about seconds now. We're not talking about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or even 5 or 6 minutes. And this is where it's critical and it's key. So as we look at the evidence and things come to the forefront, and we analyze and we look at different aspects of what that evidence tells you, I think that this is absolutely critical, that the prosecution and the defense will be able to focus on this, that it's not that 6 minute. And I think this um, uh, video from start to end is like 6 minutes and 17 seconds. You subtract the 54 seconds, and like I said, you'll see in the slideshow presentation, I have all the times and the formula used to what it means, and exactly um, what time that the individual, the bridge guy that's on platform 1, regardless of who it will be within view, and not 5 or 6 minutes, but within a minute of meeting witness number 4, that Libby and Abby would have been able to see him, and he would have been able to see them. And I think that's extremely critical. And so we'll get back into the, I'll remove this, and we'll go back to the slideshow, and I'll bring my camera back up. Okay. All right. Let's see here now. All right. So the walk begins when we watch this video, and we'll look at it again as we exit the slideshow, that it begins at the 54-second mark, and that it ends at 6:17. So the walk time is actually only 5 minutes and 23 seconds. So if you turned around from where witness 4 said that she was standing there at the trailhead where it meets the bridge, and she turned around and went back 2 minutes and 47 seconds, that'd put her around the 3:30 video timestamp, which is the halfway point back. This is the total trail length, is about from the intersection at the parking lot, Mears parking lot, down to the bridge is around 1,500 feet. And so the midway point around the 3:30 mark of this video stamp, you can see that the bridge isn't in view. And so you still have about 750 feet to arrive at the bridge. But that 750 feet and that walk time is still misleading, for the fact you're going to see that bridge as you go around this little curve area. And if bridge guy is walking and following witness number 4, the time is even less than what the 40 something seconds that was taken. But here's a little map of the trail intersection to the parking lot, the midway point back where witness 4 sees the 2 girls. And also it indicates where the witness number 4 sees the person on the platform. And so when we take all this information in and we start analyzing, what is that window of opportunity for bridge guy to either be walking towards and following witness number 4, or even just standing on the platform and doing nothing, that it's a lot different than saying that he has 2 or 3 minutes to do something when he actually only has, before he'll come under observation of another individual within, well within and less than a minute. So around from the 3:30 mark to the 4:10 mark in the video, at the 4:10 mark, the bridgehead starts coming into view. And this is a 40-second time window. And in 40 seconds, we have to ask um, what was going on, what was being decided by individual on platform one. Um, uh, Regardless of who you argue is on platform one. A lot of people saying that's not Richard Allen, it's someone else. Doesn't matter. But whoever is on platform one, and this is the approach that we're going to use tonight, is that individual is the same individual and similar to that is in the video that is referred to as bridge guy that people have the opinion of, and I'm included, is Richard Allen. But regardless of that this individual is the one that only has 40 seconds of being out of sight of while the witness number 4 goes back to her vehicle before he becomes in view of the 2 victims. When you get to 4:36, which is only a minute and 6 seconds later, you have the full view of the bridge, length of the bridge, so even to the other end. And once again, it's critical that no matter what the individual on the bridge is doing, he's even if he was walking away and was going towards the eventual area of where the abduction occurred, or if he had already passed Libby and Abby and was heading in the direction of the parking lot, that at this point they were both been in sight of each other and would have remained inside of each other. I know there's images made, and where is he at certain points. The cameras were pointed in different directions, so those things will be coming out in court. But anyway, this is what it looked like back after the abduction and the victims were found and the memorials started occurring and people was leaving flowers. This is what the condition and look of the bridge is. This on the left is what the new bridge looks like, and they've even made additional improvements to it. And so, all right. So the key points that we need to know is that it took 5 minutes and 23 seconds to walk midway point back. Is at 3:30 on the video. You can't see the bridge. You start walking towards the bridge, and in 40 seconds from the midway point, you'll start seeing the bridge and the trailhead. Then you'll at 4:36 you get to see the full view of the length of the bridge, and so these times are critical. And for the fact that we no longer are looking at, and even when I made my first video, I was looking at it from the full time period that an individual has 2 or 3 minutes to do something and would be out of sight. But when it occurred to me that we shouldn't start from the Mirrors parking lot as far as what time the bridge comes into view, that our last key point is our witness number 4 saying the midway point. All righty. So we'll go back. I'll take this out and we'll start looking at some questions as if we have any, and comments. And
Frank's here in chat.
All right, excellent.
All right, and let's see here. And are we doing questions or are you doing something else?
No, I'm gonna do the video and we'll do questions while it plays.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
You ready for questions?
And whatever you need to do.
Okay. And Cynthia, thank you so much for rejoining membership. We greatly appreciate it. And from Dandy, do you think they have re-interviewed the witnesses to do a photo lineup since Allen's arrest? Is that something they would do?
I expect so. And if not, what has the defense done, and what interviews have they went out, and have they, pre-trial and getting everything in order as we go in and get statements from the witnesses, which the defense through the discovery will have that information. Was there a lineup made? and they make reference that this witness is the one that created that sketch of the young guy. Um, and if that's the case, and that is going to be an issue of if that is the case, of how the defense will address that. And if witness number 4 in trial says that's not the guy I saw at the on platform 1, I can see where we're going to have some issues. And I honestly don't know what she will say. I'm taking and giving the defense um, full weight here with their statement. Don't know how they taken it, and such as what they did with this pagan group, and also with what the elf tree, the marking in blood, what all the limbs mean, and all this Odinism, or how you say it, whatever that pagan group is. And so I just don't know how far they carried it. All right.
Okay. And Cynthia had asked a question about the railings added to the bridge, but you answered her.
Yes, it was added after the crime, and that's what it is. And now they actually have even changed it up a little bit about the benches, and they've added a little building there on the side, which is I don't know what all that little covering is for, but I'm sure it has some of the information and history of the bridge.
Okay, then we have a blue light for running German.
Oh, excellent. I love that name. $4 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate
That's
it.
awesome. All right, and then we have Miss Ann. Mr. Steve, from which end of the bridge do you think BG approached the girls? Thanks.
Well, I had always thought and that it was possible that he was already across the bridge. But now with this timeline, and it's being that we're down to just 40 seconds before they could see the bridge and he would have been out of sight, that yes, there is still the possibility that he could have walked in front of the girls and went across the bridge. And that is a possibility. But I've also thought when witness number 4 saw the individual on platform 1, and they were discussing, or she was through their the affidavit that was filed, that she turned around, was going back to the parking lot when she met the girls. I always thought that he may have been following her if he was there and just looking for a victim of opportunity. That the predators, and in the stakeouts that I was a participant in, and watching these predators, that when they identify a potential victim, that they will lock in on them. And of course, when the witness is in their view and they have decided to target them, that they may start tracking them. They may walk a little bit faster, and they will pick a point of where they will absolutely execute whatever type of ambush and overtake the victim. And was he planning to do that? And halfway back, this witness number 4 met the 2 girls, and also within seconds, the individual on platform 1 also saw that his first initial possible victim, being witness number 4, has now been bypassed, and he has 2 new targets coming towards him. And is this the basis of that creepy man that has been alluded to in other parts of the audio? And it could be that after the girls passed witness number 4, they may have passed a creepy man and continue on, and he just turned around knowing that there was no one on the bridge. And I give that a higher likelihood of what occurred versus that he was across the bridge waiting on a victim, that he knew that that his new targets were crossing the bridge, and he came along behind them. So he would have bypassed them or let them past him, and then he would have followed them across.
from Miss Gail.
$20 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you so much.
that. Next week, I'm heading up to the Midwest, actually. So thank you. I much appreciate it.
Right. And from Molly. True Crime Web, do you know if you can walk all the way across the bridge now, or are they going to have it closed for the other side?
I spoke to one of the my friends from Pennsylvania that went to Delphi, and he climbed the end of the. And I don't suggest this for anyone, but he did go over the end of the new improvements, and he went all the way to the other side and then came back. But he said that the other side hadn't been improved or anything, that it was far more mushy and dangerous now than what in the past. And I don't know if at some point this will be extended all the way across the bridge or what they will do. It's a beautiful improvement to the bridge. It does pop and creak still, but it still is absolutely offers a great view of Deer Creek and of the crime scene of and possibilities, and gives you a better understanding of the terrain.
You gonna leave the video up?
Nope, I'm gonna
Okay.
remove it, and I'm gonna bring that back, and I'm gonna start our cameras again,
Okay,
and then we'll have the.
Okay.
All right.
And then from Miss Ann, Mr. Steve, great timeline analysis. Only footnote I'd add is likely as part of later improvements like paving, lot of bordering trees were cut down. A view of bridge may not have been so clear.
Having been there, and as you can see in this photograph, and as you can see in the video, that the ground debris and the foliage at this time of year, that even if it was growed up because it would never get any more grown up than what it is 10 feet off the side of the trail. And so the foliage that you see 10 to 20 feet to each side of this trail is as um, um, restricted as it gets. And I get your point. It is a good point. Okay, so let's say that it is grown up by another 20 or 30%. The trail's narrower, and it is grown up a little bit more. It may extend this 40-second window. Let's give it 50, increase it by 50%, another 20 seconds. So you're looking at a minute. That there's a minute time window of opportunity of bridge guy not being under anyone's view. But still, we're only working with 1 minute. And so if the individual on platform 1 is Richard Allen, there's only 1 minute that he is out of sight of witness number 4, and 1 minute or less before Libby and Abby would put eyes on him as he stood on the bridge, if that's where he maintained. But if he was coming towards them, then of course that 1 minute would shrink down to just seconds. And like I said, and that timeline is going to be huge in court. The lower and the smaller this time frame of whoever, Richard Allen, and like I said, I believe that's him on platform 1, that he says that I didn't see the girls. There's nowhere he could go in 40 seconds or 1 minute that he would be out, that at some point they wouldn't be within sight of him, or he wouldn't be inside of them.
And from Miss Molly at True Crime Web, lone wolf or multiple people? Do you still lean toward lone wolf? I do, then I don't, then I do. If you have the magic answer.
I don't have the magic answer, but I do believe that the longer it goes and there's no one else charged, the more likelihood it is a lone wolf. Now, that doesn't mean people may be charged for some type of collaboration or possibly providing alibis or destruction of certain types of evidence, or interfering with an investigation. There's a lot of different ways law enforcement can address individuals that may try to intervene in a investigation. Don't know if that will occur or if it even has, but that is a possibility. But as far as who I believe is responsible, um, of course, everything leans towards to the man that owns the gun. Um, that a bullet from that gun was found at the crime scene.
All right. And Miss Legay, do you have a theory as to where he was while the girls crossed the bridge?
Well, like I said, I used to think that it was a great possibility that he had went out there, sat on the bridge, and was on the opposite end of the bridge, not where the trail ends, but all the way across, and that he was waiting for someone to come into that ambush point where he could bypass and know that he was alone. But with this revelations and after his arrest of Richard Allen and the probable cause, and we had the revelation that witness number 4 saw an individual, and that individual says that he owns clothing similar to exactly what Bridge Guy was wearing. Um, that changed my perspective, and I always looked at it from the point of what timeline and what could have happened during witnesses number 4 approaching the bridge, turning around, leaving the bridge, and what would an offender do? And I've seen them. Like I said, I watched people break into cars, watch them break into homes, seen them start to do an armed robbery, and all these things that criminals act and do certain things. And when they pounce or when they start targeting and they uh, take those steps to complete that criminal act, that um, such as following the victim, it changed my mind. I thought, yes, if it was a crime of opportunity, and he saw witness number 4, because she says she saw him, and he saw her, that maybe he was thinking about following her to the parking lot and abducting her at the parking lot, forcing her possibly. Now, this is just a total speculation on my part, and maybe forcing her to go somewhere. Don't know if that would have been the case or not, but that's one possibility of what that offender may have done. But then when the situation changed and we have 2 more victims that entered in within his web, that he may have just decided that, oh, 2 kids is a simpler target than a grown woman. Plus, I have people on both sides of me. I met the 3 girls up at the Freedom Bridge. Now I have 2 girls behind me on the Monon High Bridge. And so it's not an easy target, this one lady going to the parking lot. And so he may have refocused on the Libby and Abby. And he did refocus on Libby and Abby, or at some point when he decided to target them, that he totally focused on them.
All right. Blue light from Miss Kristen.
Here, $10. Great show as always. Thank you. Appreciate your support. It means a lot. Awesome.
All right. And from Miss Molly. At True Crime Web, from being there in the winter with no trees, do you have views of parts of the park, other people, creek, etc., that you wouldn't in the summer? Would it be hard to, quote, hide behind a tree?
There's, and surprisingly, there's not, as you can see, and you can watch the whole video, that I couldn't hide behind a tree.
No.
I'm a big fella.
No.
And now Mrs. Steve might could have hide behind a few trees, but no, I don't think that.
Some are skinny though.
Yeah, they are. And so no, I don't think that would be the case. That anyone would be hiding behind the trees, for the fact that if you have anyone, and our instinct of survival is that, and criminals hate to alert victims of their intent, and someone trying to hide um, in a sparse tree line will alert someone that, hey, this guy is up to no good. Whereas if he just walking the trail and walks right up to him and then pounces, is a different matter. As what we believe, as we can see that once contact was made on the other end of the bridge, and I believe a firearm was produced, and I believe that's when the commands were down the hill. That's exactly, you see how narrow that time frame is. That within 60 feet, that he starts making and going towards them, and there's um, uh, the ability of him to be able to gain control of them with different types of weapons. It could be a knife, it could be a gun, or it could be any type of restraints he may have used.
All right. And from Boo, do you think RA may be the killer, but not the one that, I said the K word, one that covered the bodies? Perhaps it may explain why E said what he did.
Um, no, I understand that, and there's a lot of things that law enforcement, if law enforcement gave any credibility to that story, E would be in jail. So they don't have anything to support that evidence. Um, so I still believe that the offender is the one that, if the sticks are placed, if the leaves are placed, the lone wolf offender is the one that would do that. And I could be wrong.
All right. And Molly, did they ever have cameras in the court when you had to testify as LE? Did it change the atmosphere, people's behavior, do you think?
Um, of course, yes. There was news crews that would come in. Now they didn't have the technologies, and they didn't have live broadcasts from the courts at that time. And so when you got out in the parking lot, that's when the news crews would start their interviews with everybody. But you had sketch artists in the courts. They wouldn't even allow any type of cameras within the courts um, uh, during my career. That was something that came along later. And now, I absolutely believe that cameras should be in every court, and that the public should see the justice system in action.
Oh, you done?
Sure,
Sorry, my
no
bad.
problem.
All right. And from Erna, how much of the bridge has the improvement?
Um, I think that bridge. Let's see here. I think it's only probably, it goes out to probably just past what the second platform would be. So maybe 50, 60 yards out there, 150, 180 feet. Um, and like I said, it's very nice to go out there, and you have a clear view down into the water. It depends on what time of year that you're there. If you can see, as Richard Allen said, that he went to look at fish. Um, I've been there where you couldn't, the water was cloudy and muddy. You wouldn't be able to see fish. And then there's times that you can go there and you absolutely can and would be able to see fish. I don't know what the actual water clarity. There's some pictures of whereas there's searchers near the bank, and you can see a little bit of that the water may be off a little bit and a little dingy, but there is some clarity to it.
Okay. And then this is not a question, but I have to do it.
Sure.
63 Clocks at True Crime Web. Side note, congrats on surpassing 11,000 subs. Thank you, Mr. Misty, for all you do for victims and families.
Absolutely. Thank you. And with that being said, that I'm absolutely in awe of all our support and everyone that comes into chat. And we want to thank everybody, no matter how you support us through the rewatch or replays, the thumbs up, the subs. Absolutely amazing, the contributions. And it's an honor to be a part of this community. And I thank you for that, and we appreciate it so much. But with that being said, I also did a test, and I'm going to go get it, and we're going to bring it up. And Mrs. Steve and I went out and did some testing. This is a little add-on that
What do I do now?
when you took the pictures.
Oh,
Okay, I got to go get that. There it is. Let's see, I got to take this one off. Got to bring this one on. Okay. All right. In one of my last week's show, I did a comparison of where I took a picture um, of Richard Allen and did a proportional as far as bridge guy coming across that the image that was taken from Libby's phone of the clothing, how it draped and how it fell, and the clothing style. Got some great comments about that compression and that the ratio and the proportions, that you wouldn't be able to take two different images from two different phones and bring them on and get the ratio to the same size, and that it would have any um, uh, proponents, or um, the proportions would be correct. And so I said, well, how can I test this? And so Mrs. Steve and I went out and got on the road, and I walked 65 feet away, and Mrs. Steve took a picture of me. And then to represent, and the 65 feet would represent what bridge guy image would be on the bridge, because it extremely long distance and pixelated. And then I also, from the bar image that was taken of Richard Allen wearing clothing that same style, the gathering up and the of the around his ankles, between his knees, of that of how the clothes fit and that style. So I took another picture at 15 feet, and I did the exact same thing I did in last week's video. I wanted to test and see what some of the comments that no, the proportions would not fit, that you can't take a picture that is at 65 feet and bring it up to 50 feet and it's correct. In our SWAT training, a lot of the things that we do with a scope, a sniper scope, is ratio. That what you see at 25 yards, when you get to 100 yards, is 4 times difference. It's 4 times, and the ratio is correct. At 50 yards, which is twice the distance, the ratio is twice as far as what's seen in that scope. And so I know about ratios and during my training. And so I asked, why wouldn't that work? And of course, we had several comments that, well, the compression stuff just won't allow that. So anyway, I went and I took those two images and I blowed them up to where they're about, the proportions are correct, about where the feet are, and the head, the chin, across the belt, even across my fingertips and across my knees. And so from my testing, it appears that you can take a picture that's 63 feet away or 65 feet away, bring it up to compare it with something that's 15 feet away, and um, they being of the same individual or same size, that they will cross-reference out. Now, of course, if y'all have additional testing you wish done, just let me know, because I want to make sure that what we present on this channel and this information is correct. And if you have any ideas about that, we want to absolutely make sure. And that's how come I did this. That's how come Mrs. Steve and I discussed it, and we want to bring this information to y'all. All righty. Hope that makes sense to you.
All right. And let's see here. Can I go again?
Sure.
My turn. All right. And for Miss Bernie, why would he continue to plead innocent after confessing to his family? Thanks.
That's a great question.
I think I asked that same thing.
You did. And yes, is it something that may be part of a breakdown? Will he, you see that sometimes. And have I ever been part of where someone has made a confession and then withdrew that confession? Absolutely. Is that what he is part of this? Is that what happened in this? It is possible. Don't know. Did the attorneys approach him and said, that was a bad move. Uh, and I would agree with them if that's what they told him. And but we just don't know. But it could occur that he may have made that in a moment of weakness, and then that his family or his attorneys and they said no, this isn't the route, or so we're just going to have to see where that goes and how that's taken.
All right. And blue light for one who sees. Member for 10 months.
I finally made a live. I'm glad you did. Yeah. And I often see that, oh man, I missed it again. And we appreciate everyone being here live, participating in chat and everything. It means a lot to us.
All right. And Miss Peggy, super sticker.
$10. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Like I said, I'm going up to Midwest, and I think I leave on the 11th.
A week from tomorrow.
Yes. I'll be picking Ruckus up from the airport.
Ooh, and y'all say a prayer.
We got to go up to Pennsylvania, and then I got to head to the Midwest.
All right. And Miss Cynthia, $11 for the 11,000. That's so cool.
It is. Thank you. That's appreciate that.
We appreciate that. All right.
Made
so
our
now
day.
I got to go catch up.
Okay.
All right. So let's see here. All right. Okay, let's see here. All right, and you're all caught up.
I am all caught up.
You are.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. We got some other people says finally catching a live. Yes, we thank everyone for being here. But anyway, guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and recommend to your friends if you want that to sub. We appreciate it. We want the channel to grow for the fact that the larger footprint that we have, the greater impact that we can have on our cases and on other cases as we move forward and we go out and work on these cases. The families appreciate it. We appreciate it. And y'all are absolutely awesome and amazing. And so thank y'all so much. And we appreciate y'all allowing us to be a part of this community, and the support is most appreciated. So
one more thing. Sean Bianchi says to let him know when you're in PA and he'll meet you for cop food.
Actually, I've got to go back by that lab where we met last time, and Ruckus will be with us, and I don't know if you would want to endure that, but we will get together because I've got to go and pick up some evidence from the lab there, and we'll be tomorrow night. I'll be talking to the members about the findings of that lab. They contacted me. The report isn't done, but the testing has been completed. And so we'll be talking about that tomorrow night on the members.
All right. So they want to know if Molly wants to know if Ruckus is going to guard the national treasure.
No. No. I've given up on his abilities to guard anything but a plate. That's about it.
My God. A plate? Oh, okay. I got it. All right. All right. Thank y'all very much. Thank you, Mod. You're the best.
All right. See y'all soon, guys. Be safe out
Love
there.
y'all.
Bye.